Hi, Davi here, and today we have a new episode in the art review series, and today we'll be checking out the work of Jorge Jimenez. I did mention this guy in my past art, or in my recent art process video, because I was so interested in the way, because I also reviewed this artist named Hanecha, it's in the recent art review I did, and I was so interested in their ink work, or the way they do their black and white drawings. And it did remind me a bit of the work of Jorge Jimenez. He's a comic book artist, works for DC and Warner Bros. Is that the same thing? Not sure, but I've seen this guy before, but I just haven't made the connection. I knew he was like a legit, a big name comic book artist, but let me just show you a pure file I have. Because whenever I find things on Pinterest or ArtStation, Twitter, whatever, I do kind of just dump it in a PureF file, and I have so many PureF files now. But anyway, the point is, I found these black and white drawings on Pinterest, and thankfully in the comments they did say his name. So I also checked his Instagram profile, and a lot of these do end up in his Instagram profile. So the point is, it's his work for the most part. So if you find something here or see something here that's not his, apologies, because there is no like tag whenever these images are shown. But I remember seeing this specific piece. Let me just make this a little bigger. Oh, right, and look at that. Like, look at the ink work. Just zoom in if you have to, or just pause, freeze the frame or whatever, or try to find this specific piece. Well, not just this piece, but pretty much all of his drawings or illustrations. I'm going to ignore most of the colored parts. I'm not even sure if he himself does the colors. Maybe someone else does it. I mean, it also looks great, by the way. But I'm going to focus more on the black and white stuff. And I did mention in the past, or in my last art process video, that this guy likes to use some grays sometimes. So it's not just white and black. You'll see some parts here, it's in gray, right? And what's so cool here is he's actually employing a lot of I think he does use Clip Studio Paint. And he employs a lot of like brushes, which I do, like a lot of pens, a lot of textures being used, and it's so nice to look at. Like, it's so pretty. I've seen some old videos, time-lapse videos of him working, and that you can tell that he was already kind of on the path, but obviously right now he's like even more intense, even more artistic, and just like I think he has found his voice. Obviously he will keep developing as he does his artwork, but it's just so nice. You have to zoom in and really see, like, even if you look at the pen marks, it's not always like super tight, which I do like. There's sort of a looseness to it. I mean, yeah, if you zoom out, it's pretty much correct, right? It's very clean in that regard, but if you zoom in, there's sort of a looseness there. The subtle variation in line weights. Oh, by the way, I actually thought this guy uses a pen display. He does, and he just likes taking photos of him. I mean, it does look good, where he'll take a snapshot from his phone on a kind of a work in progress shot, and then he'll sort of show his pen. It makes it look like, or you would assume that he does use a pen display. He doesn't. He actually prefers using let me just show you, a Wacom Intuos Pro. I found one of these for this post in this Instagram profile, and let me just translate it for you using Google Translate, obviously. So my setup, for those who are interested, I work with Clip Studio Paint with a Wacom Intuos Pro tablet. For some reason, I got used to it years ago, and I prefer it to a Cintiq format. Then there's this chair, which is brutal. I've seen this chair before on Amazon, by the way. It's a chair where you can fold your legs, and it's supposed to be very comfy and very it's supposed to help your like back, I think. So if you're interested, I will link this post too in the description below. So anyway, going back to the Pura file, let me just show you some other pieces of his. I mean, look at this. A bigger quality photo maybe. Look at that. Like you would really assume he would use a pen display, but it's so interesting that because sometimes I think it's better to use a pen display. I mean, we all have personal preferences. We need to find what works for us, but I always assume that you would have to need a pen display to be able to make this kind of artwork, but you don't need one. You know, basically the point here is you don't really have an excuse. And by you, I mean me. I mean, look at the brushwork, right? And again, with the grays, he likes using grays. It's not a pure black and white image. And let me just, there you go. Yeah. And he's so good though, right? There's sort of a straight edge to his line work. Reminds me, some of you have mentioned this guy, Fujimoto. I think he's a very famous manga artist. And he likes to use like a lot of straight lines, almost straight lines, in his work, where they're kind of jaggedy in a way. I mean, look at this cat woman here. And maybe I'll do an art review of Fujimoto as well. But focusing on the inks, look at how intense this is. Look at the variety of strokes, right? You do see like a bunch of flat brushes being used, obviously like an ink pen. And those line pens, they don't have like a consistent width or thickness. It does sort of jitter in a way, or there's basically a nice sort of natural look to them, even if it's done traditionally. Now, if you look at the silhouette, it's basically very clean, almost solid. You only see minor protrusions, for example, this fold right here, right? Or obviously the cat ears, but the chaos or the amount of variety really happens within the silhouette. So I think that's why you're able to kind of grasp everything all at once, is because the silhouette is pretty like solid. Not much variety. He likes to keep it kind of clear, but he will go berserk with the rendering, the reflections. And it's a very different way of inking. Like he's really employing the digital medium, which I do like. And I love these strokes. It just looks so good. I think it's some kind of flat brush, right? A bit of brush spacing, right? I do like seeing a bit of those artifacts when using digital media. It has its own character, right? And there's so much confidence in the ink work. Right, look at the bottom part of the lip. That's not a line. That's a soft sort of thing made with a flat brush. Same thing, you see it in the eyes. So he does employ a bit of brush variety. I would never assume you would be able to, or I don't really see this kind of work in inks, right? Maybe I'd see it maybe with someone's coloring in comic books, right? But doing it in inks is so, I guess, unique. Or I really only know one guy who does it, and that's gonna be Jorge Jimenez. You know? For digital paintings, concept art, you do see a lot of like brush variety, but again, for the inks, I mean, look at this arm right there. Oh my god. It's almost like a mixed media medium, right? So it's you're employing a bunch of techniques, and not all edges will have like a line. Sometimes it's a splatter, sometimes it's a very thin line, sometimes it's like a negative thing where it's white versus black, so you don't really have a line, but it's sort of suggested. Sometimes it's like a flat brush. So it's so unique in that. Oh my god, look at this Superman here. Right? Lots of flat brushes being used, especially in like the really dark shadows. And the lines are actually sometimes very minimal, and they're almost gestural in a way. Look at the way the shoes are done here, like his boots. I do like that look. Reminds me of another artist, another comic book artist. Greg Tocchini, I think is Italian. Especially the Low series. If you look at the pages of that comic book, the line work is so like gestural and loose, way looser than Jorge Jimenez, obviously, but right. Look at the thickness of this line. It's not always consistent, right? Sometimes it bleeds in the end. Sometimes it's you can tell it's like it's not one sort of stroke. Like he had to do a couple of strokes to get there. And again, the variety of brush strokes, right? Damn, those guns are big. I think this is also his, I'm not sure. Hopefully it's his. Because in Pinterest, it's hard to tell, right? Let's find another one. Let's look at this simple sketch right here. Oh, I think this is his. You can tell by the flat brush. That's usually my a giveaway of his work. Look at how simple this sketch is, but it's so, like, the looseness of it. Like he just knows where to put the shadows and everything. He's very good with that kind of thing. He can make shadows look interesting. And when you're doing shadows, it doesn't always have to be like accurate. You're almost using it as a you're using black not just to represent shadow, but also for storytelling or composition, which is really cool. Now this one's a bit more deep. Look at that. Oh fuck. You'll see more line work here with the glove compared to, say, the actual body, the torso. Look at how the folds are illustrated. They're just illustrated. It's mostly in black, right? And then he just added like the white lines on top, and it looks like folds. Very like mini folds. You'll see a bit of that here in the bicep. And again, lots of splatter brushes being used. Look at the brush. It's like a mixed media sort of thing. If you zoom out, look at the silhouette of Batman. Very strong, very clean, very solid. But inside, I mean, look at those legs. Even his like briefs, or he's wearing it on the outside, but look at the chaos. It's so like confident and F me. So this is Batman and his butler. And look at this. Damn. Some white splatters here and there. Oh my god. They're so pretty. Again, he does not use a pen. I'm not sure if he has one even. He does say, based on the Instagram post, that he likes using basically a pen tablet. In his case, it's a Wacom Intuos Pro. It's just so interesting. It sort of shattered my mindset. You can actually make some solid line work. Because I would always assume, yeah, for paintings, pen tablets are great, but for like line work, when you have to do some like detailed stuff, I think it's gonna be a bit hard, right? But for Jorge Jimenez, it's just something he got used to, and he prefers it even. I mean, I'm sure given his like a status, he can buy one, like a really expensive pen display, but he still sticks to his pen tablet. Look at this. Oh my god. Again, look at that strong graphic sort of shape. This whole thing is in black, right? If you look at the silhouette, it's very clean, right? But inside, the reflections, the shadows, the rendering, the brush variety, the line variety in terms of like the kinds of lines and the types of lines. Some lines are for cross-hatching. Some lines are for like reflection for the hair, and some lines are for the folds. Look at how suggestive it is. It's almost like impressionistic, right? Oh, such confidence, bruv. Oh my god. I do recommend you check out his Instagram, because that's where you see, it's mostly in color, but you will see obviously the black and white stuff. If you flip through oh, look at this. He's doing some facial expressions. Again, you can see the flat brush being used here for this part of the hair and this part. So the top part and the bottom part. Right? He could have just done like a cross hatching, but he will employ that brush, his favorite flat brush, for that thing. Right? Some extra lines, white lines to show extra clumps of hair. Some splatter brush is so interesting. I'm assuming it's to represent like freckles. But the line work here, oh, Some lines are thick, some lines are thin. And you don't always want to like complete the line. You want to make sure that sometimes you see some spacing here and there. Like sometimes it doesn't hit the other line, or sometimes it overshoots a bit. It just makes it look a bit more natural, I think. Right? Don't aim for clean line work. Aim for confident line work, right? Oh, look at those lips though. She's so mean. But kind of hot. Oh my god. What is she wearing? Oh, is that noise brush or something? I'm not sure. It's some kind of texture brush. But again, it's like a gray, right? Interesting. She's like crazy. Oh, look at that hair. Oh my god. Look at that hair. He starts out, I guess, with the black silhouette and then he'll add in the whites. It's over. This guy's a beast. Freaking beast. Look at Wonder Woman here. Oh. Kal-El. Is it Kal-El or Ka-El? Again, the flat brush. Look at those biceps. Look at those shoulders. Ugh. Armpit. I like this chick. She's kind of hot. Reminds me really of the Fujimoto guy, just because of the straight lines, especially the hand to and the hair. Batman. Oh, a bit of halftone textures being used. I mean, look at this sort of gestural stuff right here. A bunch of like halftones, noise textures, flat brushes. Some squiggly lines. It's so like magnifique. Magnifique. Oh yeah. Here we have Wonder Woman and Catwoman. Oh, they both have whips. Oh, perfect. Oh, this whole rope here is, I think he did this in one layer and then he added like a, what's the word, like a border effect to bolden out the lines. Such a useful feature in Clip Studio Paint and in Photoshop too. I know you can do this in Photoshop as well. And for Catwoman, it's more of a silhouette. It's just a bunch of like circly lines, right? Oh, I'm so impressed with the way they do the inks though, even without the color. I mean, look at Catwoman's suit. There's sort of like, it really feels like latex and it has a realism to it. It's very impressionistic if you zoom in, but it's very realistic, very suggestive. And that's what's cool about his work. It's not like super like cut and detailed, but you know what it is. Like there's a lot of like creative liberty being used, but he's not lazy. You know, he really goes in and draws what he has to draw. I would recommend another artist as well. He did the framed ink books. Mateu something. Christ, I've mentioned a couple of artists now, but yeah. So let's find a few. I'm not even sure if this is his. It could be his, but I can't seem to find the flat brush, so I'm not really sure. And there's kind of a blue tint to the work, a blue tone, a bluish gray tone. So I'm not sure if I should. I'm just not as sure, but maybe it's his. Who knows? Look at that. Oh. Again, the famous flat brush of his. Some cross-hatching texture, maybe. And look at the way the mouth is done. Look at how graphic it looks. It looks like a graphic design kind of thing. Like pop art. Alright, look at the line work. Is it so clean? It's just confident to me. I don't think clean is the word. I think confident is the word. Right? And there's a playfulness in the way he adds the inks. Right? Like it's not so tight with it. Like it's correct. It makes sense, but he's sort of playful with it. Maybe this is something you have to it's something that happens over time. I think it's more of a result of confidence, maybe. Who knows? I think this is his. I'm not even sure. But same vibe. If you look at the face, I like the shadows here. Hopefully it's his. I think this is his. Because I'm just basing it on the brush variety. Oh. I think it's his. So yeah, if you're interested in your like drawings or doing ink work, you don't have to do it like other people where you have like one ink brush and it's all like one sort of technique with the classical like cross hatching and stuff like that. You can use other brushes. For example, if you look at the leg of Batman here, oh my, look at those quads. Oh. And you contrast that to the knee. Like, where do you see the line work here? I mean, I do see lines, say, to indicate the folds a bit in the boot, right? And some reflections and yeah, and some extra like mini folds here. But it's all like artistic, right? If you look at the other leg, it's basically like a splatter brush or a heavy texture brush, right? Like, you can be playful with your inks. That's my takeaway from his work. Look at, oh my god, look at, oh, Jesus. It's so nice to look at. It's like a drug for the eyes. This one's kind of cool too. Oh, look at the, oh. You can also use the cape apparently for like composition. Because it's so flexible, right? And it flaps around, so you can sort of position it in a way that complements your frame. So we have Batman and Robin here. Look at the ink work, right? It's so lively. It's alive again, without colors, without any kind of coloring. It's already freaking cool. Oh, it's over. Oh my god. It's so sexy. But this is what happens when you stick to your craft. So you just gotta keep going, I guess, until you reach this level of dominance. I mean, look at how he illustrated this sort of him. I forgot this guy's name. With the sticks, the Kali sticks, right? The way the leg is done to show how it's moving, it's all a bunch of like flat brush strokes back and forth. Instead of like doing it traditionally with like a pen, you can just use like a flat brush. He did have to illustrate like this part of the leg, right? Essentially showing the end movement where the leg stops, but everything before that is like a bunch of, like, it seems like it was smudged up, right? I don't see any line work within the shape. It's just the flat brush being used. I mean, look at the creativity of that. Oh my god. And she's hot too. Look at the shadows, the gray parts here, showing the underside of the neck, the underside of the ear maybe. Oh my god. Kinda hot. So strong silhouettes, right? And then when it comes to the ink work within that, brush variety all the way. This one is my favorite like photo of his. And again, a reminder for myself, you can make amazing art with a freaking pen tablet. Stop waiting for your pen display. Because I mean, my pen display works, but the pen is still, I'm waiting for, first of all, my debit card to come in, so I can't buy anything for now until I get my card. But also I have to wait for a replacement pen because the buttons are, whenever I color pick, the cursor just jumps around and it's so frustrating. That's like my biggest complaint. So anyway, yeah, so check out the work of Jorge Jimenez. I will link some similar artists or recommended artists in the description below as well. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this episode and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.